notice that this is a significant reduction in blood pressure. When we give you first-line medication for blood pressure, that could be Norvasc, amlodipine, which is a calcium channel blocker, or it could be something like candesartan, irbesartan, losartan, which is an ARB, or a cousin drug of that, which is something like lisinopril, ramipril, which is a ACE inhibitor. When we get to the maximum dose, that would be, for example, 10 milligrams of amlodipine, or 10 milligrams of ramipril, or 32 milligrams of candesartan, then what we're expecting is 10 millimeters of mercury reduction in systolic and a 5 millimeters of mercury reduction in diastolic. So just by changing diet, the effect on blood pressure was equivalent to the maximum dose of a first-line blood pressure medication. But what happens if you combine a DASH diet with a low sodium intake as well? So actually measure your sodium intake. So this study was published in the New England Journal of Medicine, randomized controlled trial, 30 days crossover. The control group have what you can describe as a SAD diet, which stands for Standard American Diet, high saturated fat, high refined grains, high ultra processed foods. And they rotated through different levels of sodium intake, and what they found was there was an additional benefit with a low sodium diet with a significant reduction in blood pressure. With that, one more thing that people can consider when they're trying to reduce sodium is a salt substitute, and this would be something like potassium chloride to replace sodium chloride. This study was published in the New England Journal of Medicine, cluster randomized control trial. The study was actually done in lots of villages in China, went on for 5 years, and what they found was when they replaced sodium chloride, standard table salt, with potassium chloride, which is salt substitute, stroke risk was reduced by 13%, total mortality was reduced by 12%. And if you are interested in purchasing the salt substitute, I have an Amazon link on my blood pressure and sleep apnea blog. I will add that link to this blog as well at the end, but you can easily find my blood pressure and sleep apnea blog on my website. Just be mindful that while these are extremely safe and the risk of high potassium or hyperkalemia is extremely low, less than 1%, if you are already on medication for blood pressure, particularly if you're taking anything finishing with a artan like losartan, candesartan, or with a pril like ramipril, lisinopril, or ending with a lactone like spironolactone, because these medications actually work by increasing your potassium levels, there is a very small risk that you could end up with high potassium if you replace standard salt with potassium chloride. So it would be worthwhile to repeat your electrolyte levels about 2 weeks after replacing sodium chloride with potassium chloride. What would be examples of a DASH diet? So day 1, breakfast could be oatmeal with blueberries, chia seeds, and low-fat Greek yogurt. Lunch could be lentil soup with whole grain bread and side salad. Dinner could be grilled salmon, quinoa, and steamed broccoli.